Right, so I'm just having a bit of a play. It's Anzac Day. Shouldn't be in the shed really. Should be a day of reflection. But I've been down to see Ethan at Crib Point. He was a catapult party at the Cenotaph. I love sort of the interim sand between the first coat of All You Need and the serious coat. On this rear we've got a direction change granted, so that's going to affect the contact of the longboard against the surface. We're touching there, we're touching there, and we're touching there, but we're missing there and there. Now, I'm going to. This is just a quick look at how I'm doing it. So it's not to say that this area is high. It probably does work in the scheme of things, but I'm gonna just take a bit of the height out of that. We're touching there, we're touching there, and we're touching there, and we're sort of missing there and there. So I'm just going to take a bit of that height out. Okay, so you can see we're contacting there and contacting there. So we're missing that area there, and you can still feel it's a little bit coarse. So I'm just going to try and get it so that we do contact the whole area. I mean, I could sand in between there with a small block, but that's defeating the purpose. So, oops. So as you can see, I've run a piece of tape along there just to indicate where the style line is. It's not that I'm using it per se, it's just I don't want to intrude on the other surface yet. Okay, so we're still not contacting there. And we're still not contacting there. So that sort of thing there will show up as a ripple, or not really a ripple, but it'll be a direction change in the panel. I'd like that to be one smooth surface, blended, okay, because you've got different angles that are on a different trajectory, meeting at a tighter position down here, down this end, and yes, I don't want. So of course there is going to be a distortion in the reflection, but I'm just thinking about the reflection here, you see. So a low there and a low there will absolutely show up. So we're still not contacting. And you can actually see that section there has continued down underneath the door handle. So you can actually see that area there, and it's continued down underneath the door handle, so we are definitely high in that area. What would be a real plus, and I love it when it happens, is when you find filler, like bog. That's a high, so we don't want to go any deeper there, but we do have to get rid of some of this. It's time consuming, eh? So if we found filler in there, I'd just be absolutely delighted, because you just know then that you've just gone too hard with the filler. But if you start breaking through and finding metal, then it means you've got to fill those areas. You see, so if I start to break through here, I am going to break through this layer into a previous layer. I think this has got two coats on it. So yeah, so there you can see it. We've broken through the most recent layer of high fill, and that's the first coat under there, which is a good thing. Feels good, but it's not right. I'll give you an example. The driver's door was exactly the same. So it was a high there. So now I've got contact all the way across there, which is great. It feels fantastic. But as you can see, I've come across a little bit of filler. That's 2 layers of high fill and a bit of filler, which is good, and no steel. So, but now we've reached equilibrium. It's nice and smooth. Up the front here, on the front guard, had a real, mind you, this was only done yesterday. High, and there's only one coat of high fill on this, so that's quite okay. So we've come down to the filler there. We're sanding through filler, which I absolutely love doing. And a little bit, we're just a smidgen low in here, I think, but I've started to hit steel up there, steel there and steel there. So the rule of thumb is stop, and I'll probably be able to sand that out with another coat of high fill, so I'll be able to get that nice and straight. But I can feel it, slight depression in there. It talks to you, these panels. Yeah, so it's just in there. Hopefully we get it with the next layer of high fill. And of course, another way to really speed the process up a bit is to change grits. I like to do my interim sand with, say, a 240. It takes a lot longer, but it's just really gentle. But I've changed over to an 80 grit on the longboard, so started sanding there, and it just reveals all the, because it's quite a smooth finish, it just reveals all the contact points. So we've just got a little low there now, and we're coming through this quite nicely. So I'll just swap sides now, and I'll go to the other side of that high and see what we've got over here. I'm going to have to stay with the 60 grit, and because there's just too many imperfections to try and do it with anything finer. Beautiful. It's got it. Perfect. Oh, it feels great. So We've still got this low here, that one there, on the outside. Yeah, so this one here. Broken through that, and we're down to metal, and we've still got our high, got our low. So we'll take a bit more off this side here, but we are onto metal there. So we'll get to the point where we might have to make a call and just put a little bit of filler in that. They say no bigger than a 50-cent piece if you break through. You know, it's not until you start really focusing on perfection that, you know, you realise how forensic you've got to get. It's not just a walk in the park, eh? It's like, you know, all of the indications. I don't know if you can see a shadow there. I've started that roll too low there and too low there, so it starts to roll under, and it sort of starts to get, you know, close to correct there, and all the way along there it's pretty correct. But that whole scallop at the bottom of the doors has to be straight. You know, so what I'm going to do is I'll get this bottom straight and even. It looks like a lot of bog, and it is, but it's 98% of it's going to wind up on the floor. But you know, yeah, you can see it there. You can just see the bulge starts about there. It starts about a centimetre lower, or say about 8 mil lower. That's where it sort of starts to roll under. Well, that's not good enough. The bulge actually has to start right at that bog line. Okay, so as you can see, this line here goes all the way down to there, and it goes straight. It goes straight all the way along to the rear quarter. So it's bloody forensic stuff, and this is for a black paint job. Everybody says it's got to be perfect, and you know, your body has to be immaculate, and it really does. So I can actually see it here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but yeah, see the bulge is sort of about 5 mil there, where it starts to roll under. 5 mil too low. There's a, if you can see the high fill, the dark high fill where I've stopped sanding, that's the line. So yeah, God, she's incredibly you know, precise. We have to get it precise. And you know, these sections here, the center sections, easy. Top section, same story. You know, with the shadow line. Oh, the car's up on. You know, I'm using tape up on that shadow, up on that style line up there. Yeah, it's got to be right. So this is going to take days. I've just marked the center with this blue tape is the actual the center of that blue tape is the center of the style line. It's not dead straight on the car. It's not a perfectly straight line. That would look pretty dicky too. It sort of curves up slightly up onto this center of this guard. So I've marked it there, and then it sort of straightens out through to this door here, which is a sort of a lower spot. So it sort of, you can't see it, but sort of just curves up over that guard slightly, and I've marked that section there on the driver's door, and it starts to head upwards again slightly. This is the rear driver's door, rear driver's side door, and it just curves up gently up over this wheel arch and slightly down to the rear of the car. So it's really subtle, but I just wanted to make sure that I've got all my measurements the same on both sides. So it is now Sunday. Been back at work for a week. I've been on this car yesterday and today, so 2 days pretty much, just sanding this driver's side. Oh man, it is absolutely, I've still got a little bit of adjusting to do, but man, it is absolutely perfect. You just can't see it, but I'm just so excited and so thrilled with how it's come up. It's just mint. This rear quarter, I don't know if you remember this little line. I had a crack at adjusting it a while ago. I got it close, but it's still not perfect. But so I'm just going to put a little bit of filler on there, and they'll just build it out, and I'll sand it back, and that will then get that line nice and crisp. That's what we're after, a nice crisp line. So it was just dull and flat, and yeah, I couldn't let that one go by. It's a high vis area. So boy, yeah. So by tonight, this, I said it last time, this was going to be ready for final sand. Well, I'm doing its final sand now, and then I'm going to put it into a final coat of high fill, and it will only need to be wet sanded from there down to about, well, wet sanded, yeah. So man, it is perfect. Okie dokie. So, I don't know if you can see, I've got this stainless trim just taped in location. So it's sort of flush there. The actual hood, or the bonnet, fits really well on the guards and everything. But there has been, and I suspected, if you look at the gap, there is a big gap, so you can see. I mean, going by the trim, it's not really a good rule of thumb, but you know, you can see the gap. And I did suspect that it had been in a little bit of a bingle. Out there seems to be okay, but the next section in, it just on top there, it seems to just be a little bit kinked. And this is what I always suspected was something dodgy with that. It's definitely been pushed in and folded. There is this edge here is just a little wavy. It's like it's been dollied. Don't know if you can see there, but there's a weld just there. Bit of gappage in there. This side here, where there seems to be quite a big gap, as you can see, that contour has got a ridge on it, so it's been pushed in there, you can see, and it's folded a little bit there. Now I have no idea how to fix this. My instincts say,
It's probably going to sit lower on the top of the grill as where it should, because it's been, by the looks of things, just twisted down. And I can't really afford to assemble the whole car just to check it. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of damage. It's not a major. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could just say bugger it, and I'll just get I could just, like, you know, screw that up and blah blah blah. But it's not right. It doesn't fit that well. It's pushing it against there quite hard. There's still a gap. I don't know how it looks this. Yeah, not happy, Jan. I have to figure something out.
Well, I remember when I bought the car, it didn't have the front trim and it didn't have the left-hand eyebrow. Now, that could be a separate accident to the one that the previous owner told me about, which was a side swipe. The car got sort of side swiped on the front end. This is more sort of straight on impact. So it could be a separate accident, I don't know. I bought this from a guy in Seaford, along with the other eyebrow. I remember now. I thought I took it off the car, but I didn't. Now, it just absolutely does not fit. It's, you know, this is sort of set in stone, this shape. It's fucking miles out. Especially on this side here, it's about a centimetre, 10 mil back. Okay, so what we're going to do, really, this frame needs to be separated from the skin, but it's such a beautiful finish all the way around. I'm just, as soon as I start peeling that bloody edge up, it's going to look terrible. You're going to spot it a mile off. So what I'm going to do, this piece needs to be panel bedded. It needs to be dollied. The whole front end needs to be sort of stretched out so it fits this. I'm going to use this as the template. So the whole front end needs to be stretched out so it fits that shape. And this piece here has got crinks and bloody, you know, craggy bits, folds, all sorts of crazy stuff. So this piece needs to come out. So I'm going to cut along here, cut up here. I'm going to straighten all this edge on the bonnet skin. I'm going to straighten it all up, just pull it out so it fits this. And then I'm going to beat this out as best as I can. See, there's dents in here. There's little dents and hammer marks, and somebody's tried to sort of like beat it forward, I think. But it really needs to be dollied out, and all these little folds need to be sort of straightened out, and it needs to be elongated or stretched out, because at the moment it's crumpled in. So I'm going to cut it out, beat it up as best as I can, stretch this front edge out so it fits this, and then I'm going to tack it back in place. I was having trouble with the bonnet release. That seemed to be on an angle. Either that way or that way. I think it was that way, backwards. So obviously that's, yeah, it's raised on this edge, so it's been bent back that way. So what I need to do is this bonnet post needs to be moved forward too. So hopefully I can get a bit of real estate in there and get that into the right position. It'll just, like, the bonnet does open, but it doesn't like willingly flick up, you know, with the spring, and it just doesn't willingly do it. It basically, you can hear it click, but the bonnet doesn't move. The spring doesn't, I don't know, something's going on. So it's just gnarly.
Very interesting. I can see there used to be a Ford badge, F-O-R-D. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely dinged up a bit. Might be able to get hold of some of them. I do know that the GT shops type things, they sell the stick-on ones, the FORDs, but they're a different shape. I noticed that with the XW. Let's just see if that, by cutting that off, has relieved it. Not a sausage. What I might do now is strip the top to see where we are with bog, see what's in there. So I'll make that fit the trim and then make that fit the cavity. Hammer marks all the way. No dolly, just a hammer. Oh, I don't know what the hell they've done. Got a deep impression there. Oh, the whole thing's munted. It's as bad as that other front guard, the first front guard. But the good news is, getting all that bog off, ouch. See, there's a sharp piece of steel in behind there, it's real sharp. See? But the good news is, getting all that bog off gives us a fair bit of movement. Anyways, it's late and it's Sunday night and I've got work tomorrow, so I'm going to go. Well, g'day guys. Just a quick update. So this bonnet is pretty bad. Just to recap, it has been stoved in. You can see just you know, the amount of dentage in there, and it's just so roughly fixed. A lot of hammer marks in there and around there. Now, it's actually been curled under, and there's actually a high point there, or like a roll. It's nice and flat to there, and then it rolls up and then down around. So it's actually been tucked under a little. It's been pushed off centre as well, in that direction, and so this shape here is more aggressive than that shape there. I've cut the frame from underneath away, so that's the frame. That's completely, you can see straight away, problem. And that's the ZF extension. This is an XA bonnet frame, and then they put this little extension part on it, so I'll rebuild all of that. I'm going to have to expand that from front to back somehow. I'll figure out that. What I'm doing first is I'm making the bonnet fit the chrome or the stainless trim. Once I get that correct, once I know that the bonnet fits, or the bonnet fits the chrome trim, then I will worry about the underneath. I'll make that fit the bonnet. But this, my friends, this here is probably the world's most time-consuming jig, dolly, call it what you will. It's pretty rustic, but it's the exact shape of the chrome trim. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bolt. I'm going to put a relief cut here, up into there, and another relief cut up into there. and I'm going to bolt this jig to the front of the bonnet in the location where the chrome trim holes are. Example, there and there. Don't know what that hole is. It's probably a rust hole or something. That one, and those two there. I haven't bothered with the ends because the ends are fine. And then I'm going to hang it from the roof. Okay, so I'm using gravity as a sort of a quasi type puller, and I'm going to off dolly hammer this bulge out, so hopefully that will extend it. We need about a good 10 mil as you can see. So we're about, so if you can see where we are, we're good out at the ends. The gap increases to there to about 7 mil. There she's about 13 or 14 mil. There it's probably 7 mil. There it's really quite close, and it expands again there. So yeah, so one way or another we're going to make this bonnet fit this chrome trim, and then once we know that the bonnet fits the chrome trim, then we'll proceed and fix the underside. Beautiful. It gives it the, yeah, it gives it all the movement I need. So I might just quickly dolly that out, just to give us a better reference. If you're wondering what I use for a dolly, that is a hinge for a tip truck. It's big, about a 35 mil bar that goes through there, and there's one on each chassis rail. And as the tipper tips its load, up she goes. That's all it is. So all those tip trucks that you see around town, that's what they tip with. It's got a grease nipple there. But I've used this as a dolly for years. Sort of gets most stuff. I prefer something with a gentle curve, but this, you know, you can get most things. So they're all different size nuts and bolts. There, 8 there. It must be American. Oh yes, unbelievable. It's pretty good. That's brilliant. Can't believe it. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hang it from this point here, and I'm going to just tap out that big hunk there. It's not, it doesn't feel quite as bad now, but it's nice and sort of on a certain trajectory, and then it stops and then goes up and then down. So I'll tap that down, and that will actually probably provide a little bit more sort of real estate into these cuts here. Yeah, see, whoever's done this, the initial repair, they've actually lost that line. They've beaten that line out, so I'm going to have to beat that line back in. But that's bloody brilliant. What do you think, Kat? Think it's alright? You happy? I know you want food. So as you can see, I've got the whole weight of the bonnet hanging from that frame. So now I'm going to just with a rubber mallet, just try and sort of massage that high point down. Hopefully it takes it all forward because of the gravity. Good there. And good there. Put out the edges. In the middle, still too high. Oh yes! You legend. I should have taken all of the paint off because it's a bit of high fill there, so about a mil. But if I do it above that paint line, perfect. It's gone. We got it. So I don't feel like firing up the MIG tonight, so I won't. I might just leave that in the frame. And I'll just tack those in a couple of spots, say there and there. And that will, then once I take the frame off, it will all stay in place. That's pretty much the only gap, and that's only really about 2 mil. And I can tap that out. Look at that horrible bloody bit of workmanship there. Fuck. Why would you? Yeah, we just got about 1 mil there. But that stuff will all tap out, you know, once I get the frame off. That's brilliant. Just use the POR 15 metal prep. Beautiful. Yeah, where I can, I like to POR 15 underneath anything that I've welded on. Welds there and welds there. So it turns out I've had to split this into two. It's getting smaller. I'm going to have to take this off as well. But there's a dent in there that I just cannot get to. I can't get that fold out. God, see, it's like it's even changed shape now. You have to be very careful with this, because if I weld that too high or too low, you're going to have some problems. Just uncurl that a little bit, that roll, just because it'll give me a bit of length forward, which we need on this piece. So I'll just uncurl that. My baby's home.
For insurance purposes now, I think the driver actually has to unload. G'day guys, just a quick update. It's Sunday the 8th of May. Tomorrow I'm flying out to New Zealand for a week. I was sort of hoping to do a little bit more over the Easter break, which you've seen the work that I've done. However, yeah, I've just got to go. I've just got to go to New Zealand and see Dad, see my brother and sister, and all the extended family and whatnot. So I was hoping to do a bit more in the shed today, but I've just run out of puff. I've got so much, you know, travelling overseas is not easy. It's really expensive and really time consuming just to even get to the airport. It's so painful with this COVID. You know, you've got to do tests and COVID's everywhere. So chances of getting COVID before you go and losing your money on your tickets is high, but also the chances of getting it in New Zealand and losing your money on your tickets over there and not being able to come back to work, which is, you know, that's another thing. So, you know, if I got COVID in New Zealand, I'd have to sort of let it run its course and then go from there. However, so just a few things. I've been working on the bonnet. I'll show you this piece first. This is the very front of the underneath panel. This is pretty much the main offender. The whole thing's just bent and twisted. This is exactly how it came off the car. It's just bent and twisted and just wrecked, you know. Bit of rust under there, but that's neither here nor there. But this whole piece is going to have to be replaced. This is actually obviously an XB, XA underside. And what they do, they just put that little extension on there for the Fairlane. And this is just bent, buckled, twisted. The whole bloody flange that meets up with the underside of the bonnet trim is all just twisted and wrecked. So I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces and pretty much panel beat every individual piece, trim it up to fit, cut that lip off and then weld a new lip on, and do it that side and that side, and then I'll make this centerpiece fit. I'm going to get rid of that piece there. I'm just going to join on an extra piece there. So I'll show you what I've done. It's not that pretty, but so the best thing is that I managed to get that post sitting perpendicular, so to speak. It was leaning back on a pretty aggressive angle towards the rear of the bonnet, so that's all nice and straight. There is a weld line along there. It's a pretty rough weld. It's really hard to clean up on the inside of a curve, which I shouldn't have done that, but I've still got to grind this side. The MIG's been playing up, so the weld's not pretty.
and I've got a few holes. Because you're grinding on the inside of a curve, it's very easy to go too deep, and so I've got to not patch, but just tack up a couple of holes that I've ground through, and I'm going to attempt to POR 15 underneath through there, that whole welded seam, so it doesn't rust out. Yeah, I wish I had more for you with this bonnet, but it's time consuming. But I just don't have the time to be able to really sink my teeth into it today, because it's about 2 o'clock on Sunday and I fly out. So I've got to leave here at 2 a.m. and to get to the airport in time to check in.